So we're omnes, and welcome to a video about cases in Latin. Most important thing here is if you're not in year 9, this will probably be not anything you particularly need. So last time on King's Mac Classics, the video that you can see a little snapshot of there went through the basic uses of the nominative, the accusative, and the dative. And like what cases are and why we have them in Latin. If you haven't watched it, go watch the video, otherwise this won't make sense. Now, of course, we have to learn all the cases. So, this is a chart of the first declension words, which are mostly feminine, so words like puella, of second declension words, that go like servus, and also second declension neuter words that go like bellum. You may not have been introduced to bellum yet, don't worry, you'll get there. This is the full chart. Obviously it's quite a bit longer than the one you saw on the previous slide, sorry about that. You may also have noticed, wait, wasn't there a rex third declension before? Yes, there's 2 more columns for rex. There's a video about third declension as well, sorry about that. So, first of these, vocative. It's not vocative. If you're trying to work something out, it's not vocative. Saying that, the vocative is the addressee of the sentence. The employee is the person being employed, so the addressee is the person being addressed, being talked to. Examples: Puella cur lacrimas. Girl, why are you crying? Laborate, oh sir, we work, oh slaves. Very nice and simple. This is if you're addressing someone. You can see quite often it's commaed off, so you can see that you're talking to someone. 95% of the time, it is completely identical to the nominative. In fact, most charts don't even give you vocative, they just skip it out, and that's fine. But for the purpose of completion, we have it up there. The only time it's different, you might be able to see, is up here for the nominative singular, where it is an E or an I sometimes. So you can see there, hello Mark K. His name there is vocative. It's about the only time it's different. There's a couple of irregular nouns as well, but like really, vocative almost always looks the same as nominative, but you're very rarely going to see it because it only comes up if you're talking to someone. You may have also been slightly confused about the O business on the previous slide. O with a H is more of a sigh. Oh God, I haven't done my homework kind of thing. Whereas O without a H is more if you're addressing, if the Lord, or in this case Canada, is vocative. Nice and simple. Next one, genitive. Genitive shows possession. The basic meaning of the word of the genitive case is of. So, servus domini laborat, the slave of the master is working. Amicus advenit puellarum, the friend of the girls is arriving. Villae servorum, the houses of slaves are small. So the genitive is the word that has of in front of it. It's the thing that is doing the possessing. Side note, so English does genitive in 2 different ways, for reasons that are stupid. The friend of the boy lost his bag, or the boy's friend lost his bag. I would very much suggest you stick to this method, of the boy, because Latin has the same order, thank God, as English here. The slave of the master. Looks identical in terms of order. It also means you avoid the problem of the stupidity of English rules on apostrophe. I get this wrong all the time in translations. People make stupid mistakes about apostrophes. If you don't know how they work, don't use them. Use of the. Because every time you use an apostrophe to make a word plural, a puppy dies. Aww. So that brings us to the ablative, which is probably where problems start. The ablative does just a lot. You're going to see. The simple meaning is with, followed by or from. So with is the basic one. You should always start with, and then try by and from. So you can see some examples here. Servus dominum gladio necat. Gladio is ablative here, so it could be with the sword, by the sword, or from the sword. The slave kills the master with a sword. Makes perfect sense. Seems reasonable to me. Second one down. Servi templum saxis aedificant. You may not know those last two words. Saxum is rock or stone. Aedifico is I build. We get the word edifice from it in English. The slaves build the temple with or from stones. With stones makes sense, so does from. So you can use kind of either one. If you're doing GCSE, you might also see with or by in terms of agent. If you're not doing GCSE, please don't do that. Good news, everyone. There is no complicated version of the vocative. The vocative is really simple. It's really unusual. Yay! There also isn't actually much of a complicated version of the genitive, to be honest. There's a couple of specific uses that we're going to look at here, but it really is more or less just what it sounds like in English. So we can see here, dominus non dat multum of kibi. The kibi there is genitive, so it's got to be of. The master doesn't give a lot of food. It's basically the same as in English. The second one down, multi amicorum, there's our genitive plural. Many of my friends are arriving, which is not quite the same as many friends. Please don't try and translate that as if many describes amicorum. It doesn't. Many of my friends. Last one down, domina est femina curae. There's our genitive. The mistress is a woman of care. Normally you'd see something like of courage here, of courage there, but I'm trying to avoid the declension nouns. As you can see there, this is what happens when you don't give a lot of food. And then we get to the ablative. Yeah, my bad. So the most common meaning of the ablative is with a preposition. Preposition being a word that goes in front of a noun, which shows its location, its movement, or its circumstance. That's a lot of words. Let's go through these. So nuntius invenit pecuniam sub templo. Sub, obviously giving us words like submarine and subterranean, means under. We can see, by the way, down here, our list of OCR GCSE prepositions. The messenger finds money under the temple. So this is talking about position. Puella ab hortis ambulat. The girl walks away from the gardens. So again, now we're talking about movement here. She's going away from the gardens. Fine. And then the last one down. Pueri de bello audiunt. The boys hear about the war. So this is kind of more of your circumstance. They're not doing anything. It's not where the war is or where it's going. It's just something about it, the circumstance. The meme that everyone knows of Latin, caecilius est in horto, is actually using an ablative. You've been using these since baby steps of Latin. Ah, the surprise. So, if you noticed, by the way, there was also a slightly weird problem on the previous slide. So, the basic meaning of the ablative is with, which kind of gets overwritten by any preposition that it's have. Fine. But why is there also a preposition cum, which means with? That's because it doesn't really. Cum means like along with. It gives us a word like accompaniment. So if you're accompanying someone there, you use the preposition cum. This is what's going on in our first one here. So the puella cum amico, along with her friend ambulat. Fine. You can actually put along with if you really want to make it emphasis as well. Our second sentence down here, however, pueri gladiis pugnant. There's no cum, so it can't be along with, so it's just normal with. The boys fight with swords. It's how they're fighting. This does mean that Latin has a different way of phrasing I am fighting with someone, as in along with, versus with someone in the sense of picking them up and using them as a battering ram, which is a fun thing for a language to distinguish. However, the ablative keeps going. We're not done yet. And to be honest, we wouldn't be done if I spent the next 10 minutes just doing the ablative. It's the kitchen sink case. It has all the other uses of nouns that Latin wants to express, but doesn't really make sense with the other cases. Thankfully, you mostly can just work out what the preposition means and translate it by that meaning, which makes life a little bit easier. Saying that, a couple of exceptions. So in our yellow box here, we have puellae per vias nocte ambulant. Nocte you will not find in my lovely chart. It's not in here because it is a third declension ending, but it's really common, so I thought I'd include it. Girls don't walk through the streets by or at night. So that's a very, very common way in Latin of expressing when something happens. Or another way, the nuntius is adveniting in septem foris, in 7 hours. So basically, the ablative is one of the ways you can express time. So you can express when something's happening, or like the time within something is happening. Nocte, therefore, being very common as at night. There's also the opposite, prima luce. You can see over here, at first light or at dawn. There are also 2 further uses, which really are only for GCSE and for probably a bit later on in GCSE. So don't worry about it if you don't. These don't make sense. So we have ablative absolutes. This is when you get an ablative participle. And so with the case destroyed, or when you have ablative of comparison, which is when you are comparing something to something else. These really are just for more advanced uses. You will not be seeing them early on in your Latin career. So in summary, that's it. Those are the 6 cases. We have the nominative, the subject that does something, the vocative, which it probably isn't, but it's if you're talking to someone, your accusative, which is either the object or you're using the whatever a preposition means. Genitive is of, dative 2 or 4, ablative is with or by or from, or a preposition, or just something. Ablative has a lot. You'll notice down the left there I have the order nvagdab because there's 2 A's, so you have to kind of separate them. This is a decent way, as a little mnemonic, of trying to remember which case is which, nvagdab. And just in case you still thought it was cool, here is a gif of Hillary Clinton trying to dab, because no one should ever dab anymore. Thank you very much, I hope that helps.